Well, there's plenty on the line in the Pac-12 this week as Oregon and Washington both try to make the college football playoff, and everyone else kind of tries to play spoiler in one way or another. But I think you should just enjoy this week for what it is.
You are Locked On Pac-12, your daily podcast on the Pac-12 Conference. It's the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Locked On Pac-12. I'm your host, Spencer McLaughlin. Thank you so much for making this your first listen or your first view of the day. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, and your number one source to stay up to date with our media rights and soon to be mostly team-free. But until then, beloved and loaded Conference of Champions, like, comment, subscribe, rate, review, please, and thank you wherever you listen to or watch this show, which today is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Talk about the games this week, what's on the line, the playoff implications that are on the line this week. Washington finally got the respect it's been deserving for a while. That's good news for Oregon, too. But I wanted to start on a nostalgic note today. You could say a thankful note post-Thanksgiving. I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. I can assure you that I have stuffed my face with an unhealthy amount of food, many, many hours before you're listening to or watching this particular show. I love Thanksgiving, and it's a time in which, as the name implies, we are to give thanks, to appreciate all that we have in life. I'm thankful for many things. I'm thankful for my family. I've got awesome friends. I love my job. I love this show. I appreciate all of you and I'm very thankful to all of you for continuing to support it. But you know what else I'm thankful for? The Pac-12. No, not everything about it. Not the blunders, not the officiating, not the disrespect that still is prevalent to this day and reflected in the rankings. No, I'm just grateful for everything that it's been. And I think that's how you should go into this week. The same way you were on Thursday, around your kitchen tables with your family. Thankful for a great and hopefully delicious meal. Thankful to be with people that you can at least tolerate and hopefully enjoy, at least somewhat. That being your family. I know that can go either way for some people. But this is the last week of regular season football in the Pac-12 ever. Ever. It's never going to happen again. The Pac-12 championship will be played next week. Washington will play either Oregon or Arizona, depending on how things go. If the Ducks win tonight against the Beavs, they're in. If they lose, Arizona has a chance to play win and get in against Arizona State. Or the Sun Devils could play spoiler. Who knows what's going to unfold? We'll talk about all that later. But when this season started, right, all the realignment stuff that I talked about all season long, or all summer long, rather, all spring, all summer, and everything like that, and we covered for so many months, here on the show. And when all that started to settle, and when it blew up and settled, and everyone found a home, Cal and Stanford even, with programs that are, again, combining to have a losing record. They found a home. Meanwhile, the Beavs and the Cougs not able to find a home. It's not right. I've made my thoughts on that pretty clear at this point. When the season started, I was really trying to enjoy every moment, and I was, and I have. I've enjoyed this season as much as any. I've been watching this conference and all the teams and all the recurring matchups and all the ones that, come around every few years. I've been watching it happen for a long time, my whole life. I remember really, starting to watch sports when I was 5 years old. And since then, I've always watched college football. Always. It's always been my favorite sport to watch. It's been the one I care about the most. And so I feel very privileged to be in the position that I'm in, hosting this particular show. I'll be at the Pac-12 championship game next week in Las Vegas. If you're going to be there, let me know. I'd love to, meet you at some point and say what's up. But I tried to enjoy every single game, every moment, every quarter, and just watch as much as I could. And I did, and I've loved it. But now The ending is going to be here. And everything we've talked about has always been real, but things don't feel as real until they're actually signed, sealed, and delivered. You may know that a relative or maybe a pet is terminally sick and their time on this earth is limited. It still hits you differently when that moment actually arrives. And I really have the sense that I'm going to feel that way after the games on Saturday. Some of you might as well. But all I'd encourage you to do, even if you're excited to be going to a new conference, even if you're thrilled to be rid of the Pac-12, I don't want to be there anymore. I hope at the very least, people who feel that way can appreciate what this conference has been and what it has meant to so many people for so long and the spectacle that it's become. I've loved watching it. I've loved getting to cover it even more. And by the way, it's not like a final show or anything like that. This is just paying tribute to the Pac-12 conference and the football product that it has put on the field. When UCLA and Cal, a game I'll talk about later in the show, as always, kicks off, it'll be the last time a Pac-12 regular season game kicks off. And I don't think I'm going to feel as great afterwards. Some of you might not as well, but I hope you just enjoy this week for what it is, because there are a lot of things still to play for here. So Washington, as we shift away from that and into football, let me know if you think I was just being a little bit moody there, but I think there'll be plenty of people that see where I'm coming from with that particular rant to start the show. Washington moves into the top 4 ahead of Florida State. If they win out, they're obviously into the playoff. If Oregon wins out, I think it's pretty clear they're into the playoff too. Now, I don't think that either are immune from Washington more so. What Washington is really hard to see how if they win out, they wouldn't be into the playoff. Heck, there's a world in which Washington beats Wazoo, loses to Oregon, and could still get into the playoff. And you could readily make that argument. Here's what that world looks like, by the way, just to go down a tiny little rabbit hole. Let's just say, theoretically, Oregon and Washington both dominate. So they hold serve in the rankings. And Michigan loses. Michigan's schedule is absolute garbage. It's got Penn State on it for a good win. No doubt. Really good win on the road. Good team, hostile environment. Okay, props to Michigan. After that, there's nothing. There's nothing in the non-conference. There's nothing in Big Ten play. There's nothing on it. It's a bunch of bad teams that they've dominated, which they deserve credit for, but that's not the same. So if Michigan loses to Ohio State, they could fall behind Oregon with one loss. If Florida State loses either to Florida or to Louisville, because the ACC is weak and Jordan Travis, that whole narrative would be coming back to haunt them, unfortunately, because it sucks for that guy. It absolutely sucks. But this is the world you're living in. Then you can have a world in which, okay, they're out. They only need one loss, and Florida State is out of the playoff. If Texas loses either to Texas Tech, who they lost to a year ago, they're better this year for sure, or if they lose in the Big 12 championship game to Oklahoma or Oklahoma State or Kansas State, then Texas is out. And then if Bama loses to Georgia in the SEC championship game, suddenly, who are you left with as playoff candidates? Answers: Ohio State, Georgia, they're in. If Oregon beats Washington and goes 12-1 Pac-12 champion, they're in. Then you would be sitting there looking at a one-loss Florida State team that doesn't have a good resume. And if that loss came in the conference championship game, it would be even more gargantuan to ding the Seminoles in that spot. Michigan would be 11-1. Washington would be 12-1. Common sense would tell you they should be in over them. And a 2-loss team is not getting in over a 12-1 team. And Washington could be TCU from last year. So that could happen. Those things are on the line. There's still so many different ways for this to play out. There's even more on the line, though. Even more on the line this weekend as the Pac-12 plays its final week of regular season football. eBay Motors is fantastic. I just thought I'd say that because passion, drive, and patience, what brings home the winning trophy, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. So the other thing that's on the line for the Huskies and the Ducks this weekend is if that chaos scenario I outlined in which both of them could theoretically get into the playoff, not a guarantee. If that ensues, you know what would help? Style points. So Oregon's resume is not the strongest of the bunch if you just look at it from the outset, because currently every team they've beaten is presently unranked. Now, that has an immense amount of anti-West Coast bias in it because Tennessee is ranked and Utah is not. There is no logic to that decision other than Tennessee plays in the Southeastern Conference and Utah plays in the Pac-12. That's the only way that ranking makes sense. So, Oregon playing number 16 Oregon State could use some style points against a ranked team. Winning by 20 wouldn't hurt. Can they do it? Yep. Will they do it? Not a guarantee. I think the Beavs come out playing with a nothing to lose mentality, and there'll be a Pac-12 Prime pick here, which I'll get to in a moment. Conversely, Washington State has got plenty of motivation. You know they want to send Washington off in the final Pac-12 Apple Cup with a defeat. You know they want to play in a bowl game, and you know they just want to beat Washington. Straight up. I think both of those teams, who are big underdogs going into road environments against their rivals, I think both are going to be tremendously motivated. I don't think you're going to have that problem on either side. I think it's more likely you could have it on Oregon State given the noise around Jonathan Smith. But even then, I think the Bees are going to come out ready to go. Will they win? No, I don't think so. Let's get into the Pac-12 Prime Picks here. So I am one game over 500 on the year. I have clawed my way out of the hole. 2-3 last week. 2-3 last week. First losing week in about a month. So I had been red hot. We've cooled off a little bit. It's time to get back on the train and end the year ridiculously strong. There will be another edition of this once bowl season rolls around. So I'll have more chances. But a final Pac-12 week in which I could get well over 500, that would do well. That would do well for my prospects as an amateur gambling advisor here. So Pac-12 Prime Picks and predictions. Week 13 for the final regular season week of the Pac-12. Here we go. First one on the board, Oregon State plus 13.5 is the line according to our friends at FanDuel. I can see this one getting away from the Beefs. 100%. I don't have the most confidence in the world in this pick. I think Oregon's winning the game. I think Oregon's really good. They're mission-oriented. However, a rivalry game, that's a lot of points in a rivalry game. Oregon State in their 3 losses this year have lost by 3 points, 3 points, and 2 points. 2 of those losses were on the road. Both of them by 3 points. I think Oregon's better than Washington State. In fact, I know that they are, and I think they're better than Arizona too, though the Wildcats are a good team. I don't know if that's – I don't think that number's small enough. I think it should be closer to 10. So I think there's some value on the Beavs. Oregon 35, Beavs 34. Oregon State plus the points, even on the road where they've been better their last 2 games, struggled their first 2 Pac-12 road games. I think they can put up a solid enough performance to keep it under 2 touchdowns. Maybe it's a backdoor cover. I can see it, though. Last 2 years, by the way, Oregon's built a big lead and given it away. 1 year they lost, 1 year they didn't. Oregon State, plus 13.5. That's pick number one. Pick number two, taking a road favorite here. Arizona, minus 10.5 at Arizona State. The Wildcats are playing ridiculously good football. They've won 5 in a row. Meanwhile, Arizona State often snaps the ball to a running back or a tight end. Not great. I don't love the prospect of doing that against a good, red-hot, something to prove, and a lot to play for football team. Now, Oregon can negate that something to play for other than the rivalry factor if the Ducks beat Oregon State on Friday night. But especially if Oregon State pulls the upset, Arizona, I think, covers this easily. But regardless, I think Arizona will be just fine. 31-13. I think the Wildcats win. Washington State. I'm doubling down here on these underdog teams that have quote-unquote nothing to play for here. I think it's a nothing to lose. We want to spoil your season sort of mentality. Washington hasn't beaten a team by over 17 points in a couple of months. I don't think the Huskies lose here. I think they're going to do what I doubted anyone could do before the season, and what has not been done in the Pac-12 until its final iteration. They'll end the year 12-0 and a perfect 9-0 in conference play. But 16.5, a lot of points. I think Cam Ward can put up some points on that Washington State defense or on that Washington defense. The key here is, what does the Washington State defense bring to the table? Are they able to keep up with Washington's wide receivers? It has not been a great strength for Washington State this year. Shi Smith-Wade is a good football player. I don't think there's enough depth in that secondary to go after these Washington receivers. So I think they have to play kind of bend but don't break, and don't give up the big play over the top. And that'll give a lot of chunk yards underneath, but avoid the 40 and 50 yarders. I think the key for Washington State, Ron Stone Jr., Brennan Jackson could be playing their final college football game. I think they'll be highly motivated. Washington's got a couple of really good tackles, though. Those two guys have to find a way to get home for the Cougs to have a chance to try and pull the upset. I don't think that they can. I mean, I'll give you a 2% chance, but Washington's winning the football game. They're rolling right now. Even if it ends up being close, I trust Washington implicitly to win the football game. I'll go Huskies 38, Cougars 27 in the final Pac-12 edition of the Apple Cup. How about this game that the Pac-12 tried to make a rivalry but never became a rivalry, and everyone knows that this is not really a rivalry here. Utah, minus 21.5 against Colorado. Swallow all the points. It's a big number. But here's the thing. Utah is only playing for one thing in this game. They're not playing to bolster Oregon's resume, though they could certainly do that and get back into the top 25. They're playing for pride, which, as I learned, a couple of YouTube commenters pointed it out, is a 5-letter word. Yesterday I said 4 because I'm bad at math and spelling, apparently. Thank you. You know who you are, the two commenters out there. I got a kick out of that one. I literally didn't even think about it. And then I was scrolling through the comments yesterday, and I saw PRIDE, 5 letters, and I was like, oh, you dummy. You dummy. Well, indeed I was. I don't think I am by laying the points with Utah here. 21.5, sure, I'd like it more, under 3 touchdowns. But when you're playing for that 5-letter word, pride, I don't think any team plays with more pride every single week consistently, no matter the circumstances, than Kyle Whittingham's Utah team. And they didn't lose last week. They got housed last week. And I think they're going to come and remind people, yeah, we're still Utah, and we were a Cam Rising injury away from competing for a Pac-12 championship, which I fully believe. So Utah minus 21.5, I'll swallow it. 41-17. I think Utah runs away with a matchup that, people, the Pac-12 mostly tried to make into a rivalry. It's never gotten there. And so it doesn't have a name, at least that I know of. Is it the newcomers battle, the mountainous battle. I don't even know. But I think Utah is winning that game big. I think you win big when you go over to Game Time, by the way. You shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event, no matter what it is. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Game Time is also obsessed with finding ways to help you save money on tickets. That's kind of a whole part of their shtick. They have deals on tickets right up to the start of the event, and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute deals. Find exclusive flash deals and sponsored deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE. That is Locked On College for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. So that leads me to the final Pac-12 Prime Pick, and I'm saving it for the last Pac-12 game ever. In the regular season, that is. There's a Pac-12 championship game, but that's postseason stuff. Now, before I make my final pick, I'll say the one I'm leaving out is the one game this week that doesn't include a Pac-12 team. Stanford's going at Notre Dame. I'd lean the Cardinal plus 25.5, but I haven't seen the Irish enough lately to feel confident in that. Stanford has kind of regressed back to what they were earlier in the season. Cardinal are going to lose the game, just a question by how much, so I don't love going either way. I'd lean Stanford plus 25.5. I'll go Irish 42, Cardinal 20. But here is the game that will wrap it all up on Saturday night at the Rose Bowl. Chip Kelly no longer on the hot seat, it seems, after a 38-20 dominant win at USC. And here he comes back home. And here come my California Golden Bears. And what have the Bears done? Put themselves in position to win this game in order to go to a bowl. Exactly, by the way, as I predicted before the year. Now, my game-by-game predictions and record predictions are going to come out pretty darn solid, and I'll recap those once the season comes to a close. But one that I had before the year was Cal beating UCLA on the road. My thinking was UCLA will have gotten themselves bowl eligible, but won't have anything else really to play for there. Cal is the more motivated team. Cal hasn't been to a bowl game since before COVID. You realize that? It's been a minute. Justin Wilcox coaching with a lot of urgency over there in Berkeley. Cal plus 9.5 to me is the side. And guess what? I'm taking the upset, at least in the odds market point of view. I think Cal finds a way with Fernando Mendoza. Yep, he's going to be dealing with a nasty UCLA defense. They're ridiculously good. But I think they find a way and force a turnover or two. I think this is going to be the best game Cal's defense plays this season. And I'm taking the Bears here plus 9.5 and to win outright in the upset of the week so that the Pac-12, its final regular season, can end in the most poetically chaotic way. UCLA losing as a pretty sizable favorite at home to Cal in a game that outside of that field and my head, nobody really cares about. But I care, and I'll be watching. Plus 9.5, 24-21. I'm taking the upset, and the Bears make a bowl game. If that happens, this is part of my reasoning. No doubt. I will have perfectly predicted the preseason records, not every game, of both Cal and UCLA. So yeah, I'm trying to speak that into existence. And I got no problem sitting here saying, I do think it's going to happen. I think motivation-wise, it all lines up. So the final regular season Pac-12 Prime Picks of the year, Oregon State plus 13.5, Washington State plus 16.5, Arizona minus 10.5, Utah minus 21.5, and Cal plus 9.5. all odds provided by FanDuel. Let's have a great week of Pac-12 football. Last time we'll ever do it, so let's enjoy it. Hope you do. I know I will. Appreciate everyone listening. I'll see you next time. Happy Christmas season. And as always, hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.